Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau.
We'll take a look at what the latest Census of Agriculture tells us about Virginia's largest industry. Springtime is when you want to make plans to improve your lawn next fall. And Powhatan County is a vibrant rural community on the cusp of change in our latest County Agricultural Close-Up.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from the Little Bird Alpaca Farm in Buckingham County. Agriculture is the state's largest industry, and the new 2017 Census of Agriculture is offering us plenty of insights into this fascinating part of the state's economy.
Virginia farmers are getting older on average, yet more than a quarter of them are new or beginning farmers. Net farm income is up, yet the number of farms is down, and the number of female farmers is 18% higher than 5 years ago. Those are just some of the snapshots of Virginia agriculture in 2017 when the latest Census of Agriculture was taken. Some key highlights are the number of Virginia farms was 43,225. That's 6.1% fewer than in 2012. 7.8 million acres of Virginia land was in farming, again 6.1% less than 5 years earlier. The average age of a Virginia farmer is 58 and a half, just a few months older than 5 years ago. But nationwide, a farmer's average age is 59.4. The market value of all Virginia agriculture products was $3.96 billion, up 6% from $3.75 billion in 2012.
We always get excited when the Census of Agriculture comes out. It's a one opportunity to take note of the number of farms and ranches and the operators all across the United States. So we're always waiting to see what the new picture is going to be. So this year, becoming aware that military veterans have been captured as farmers this year for the very first time, and that was quite interesting, especially to see that they tend to be slightly older than the average age farmer. Why they go into farming at that age, I don't know, but it could speak to the fact that they've tried several other careers after their retirement, and they find that farming is a very productive way for them to make money and also to spend time actually getting their hands in the soil.
Army veteran Mary Martinez-Rigo spent 3 years researching how to breed and raise award-winning alpacas before buying her farm with her husband in Virginia. The peace and quiet of the farm life is what attracted them to this second career.
We are looking for something long-term, a sense of permanence after so much travel and moving and relocating.
It's important to note that the census figures are already a little out of date. The deadline to turn in the forms was more than a year ago. But this is the best tool farmers, political leaders, agribusinesses, and educational institutions have to learn about trends, changes in farm ownership, and demographics in America's oldest industry. For instance, the average size of a Virginia farm has shifted a bit. Small farms with less than 10 acres increased from 3,343 in 2012 to 4,595 in 2017. But medium-sized farms from 260 acres to 499 acres declined from 4,176 to 3,665. And net farm income went up to $3.96 billion.
You have more smaller size farms popping up, which make a little bit of income, but then you have the consolidation of the middle-sized farms to the very large farms. So you have those guys, fewer of them making a whole lot of money, who account for some of that increase. Cost for fuel and feed and fertilizer dropped slightly, which may account for why there may have been more incomes.
The census found there are 25,509 female farmers in Virginia. That's 18% more than in 2012. The number of male farmers declined 4.8% to 45,085. Many of these men and women are couples farming together. Farmers younger than age 35 came to 5,996, 8.5% of all Virginia farmers. That's the same percentage as in 2012. The number of new and beginning farmers with less than 10 years in the business came to 18,957, 27% of all producers. Many beginning farmers are much older than young people raised on the farm. Brona says that a USDA Beginning Farmer and Rancher program is making an impact in helping beginning farmers answer questions and succeed.
How am I going to get credit? How am I going to get some experience? How am I going to get access to land? And I think that there have been some programs through our land-grant universities, Virginia Tech and Virginia State University, that have run programs that are offered during a time when people who may have other jobs are interested in learning more about how they can get into farming.
Know where you want to go with your business, be it culinary and medicinal herbs, flowers, cut flowers, livestock. Is it a form of livestock that you can manage individually?
The census figures document that Virginia's agriculture industry is changing and adapting to new business opportunities and pressures. And while some farmers are retiring, more are coming into the field, proving that farming is still Virginia's most important industry.
Tradition has it that George Washington himself conducted the first unofficial U.S. Census of Agriculture while serving as president, compiling the results himself and sharing it with prospective investors in the new country. The first official Census of Agriculture was held in 1840. It used to be held along with the regular U.S. population census every 10 years, but it was switched to every 5 years in 1950. Everyone who receives a Census of Agriculture form is required by law to fill it out, even if they're no longer farming. All information gathered is confidential and only published in aggregate form.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about renovating the lawn from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
Farm Bureau is the insurance provider of choice for farmers. But did you know all Virginians can benefit? In fact, most of our members are not farmers. Members may take advantage of discounts on selected autos, trucks, mowers, and tractors on top of the many insurance offerings. Your $40 membership will easily pay for itself with our many savings options as well. Farm Bureau is made for Virginians. To learn more about the membership advantage, go to vafb.com or visit your local Farm Bureau.
Spring is when you assess how healthy your lawn is, or in the case of my lawn, how unhealthy it is. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension has some timely tips for your spring lawn from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're at Virginia State University's Randolph Farm, and we're going to be talking about how you can renovate your lawn in the spring. Now, many of you might be looking at your grass right now and thinking it doesn't look so good. For various reasons that can happen. Well, in Virginia, we're in a kind of a transition zone. A lot of the grasses that are grown in the southern part of the United States do okay in Virginia, and a lot of the ones that are grown in the northern part of the United States do okay in Virginia. There's not any one type that does really well. When you think about grasses, there's usually two types. There's warm season grasses, and these are like Bermuda grass, which we have some here. You'll notice that the seed is very, very small, but Bermuda grass can be one of those warm season grasses. Also, zoysia grass can be one. And these can be planted. They do very well when it's warm out. When the soil temperatures are 65 to 70, they can be planted. So they can be planted in the spring. And they're very drought tolerant usually. So that means you can go without having to water as much, which is a nice thing for you. But in the wintertime, they tend to brown out. And in particularly harsh winters, they can die in Virginia. The other type is cool season grasses, and those are adapted especially to northern Virginia and central Virginia and the mountains also. And those are ones like the fescues and ryegrass and bluegrass, and they do very well, and most of you are familiar with those. They're going to do very well if you plant them, especially in September. August to September in Virginia is really when you want to plant those. They're going to do really well, grow through the winter time. Now they can show a little stress in the summertime because again they're cool season grasses. But you have to decide which one you want to grow. and then you can move forward with your grass renovation. So if you decide that you want to plant cool season grasses in the fall, you can still do some things in the spring. And one of the first things you want to do is get a soil test done. You can go to your county extension office and they'll help you figure out how to do that. But you don't want to just arbitrarily put fertilizer down. You want to make sure that soil test is done, and it'll tell you exactly what needs to be put down right before you plant. You can also look over your yard in the spring and decide what areas really need to be renovated. And if you decide that you want to renovate the whole thing, you can use a non-selective herbicide and completely burn down all the plant life there. You can till it up, and then about a few weeks before you're going to plant in September, you can use something like this to spread fertilizer around. You can also use this same device or one like that to spread your grass seed around. But things don't stop there. After you've planted your grass, you need to make sure that it's watered, and in the springtime you need to make sure that that you put proper weed control down to keep all that from growing up in the spring. So it sounds like there's a lot to do, and there is a lot of maintenance in a lawn. But your master gardener can help you. So if you contact your local county extension office and talk to them, they'll give you a hand. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Collards are a traditional Virginia favorite dating back centuries. Chef John Maxwell brings us his interpretation on this classic meal next in the heart of the home.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
You can prepare collards many different ways, but Chef John Maxwell will tell you there's only one way an old Virginia cook would do it. Here's his take on that recipe in the heart of the home.
Hi, welcome to the Heart of the Home. I'm Chef John Maxwell, and we're here at Meadow Hall in Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. Every week we gather here and we get to cook with great Virginia food. Today is a classic. We're making real Virginia-style collard greens. It's a country dish, but it's fit for a king's table. All right, the first thing I've got here is a stock pot. I'm gonna get it a little hot, all right, and add some. This is not for the faint of heart, right? This is lard, pig fat. This is not a vegan dish. All right, I'm gonna rough dice this onion up. This way it'll hold up in the long cooking process. All right, so this is just about ready. So I'm gonna add the garlic, get that a little colored. All right. Give that a little bit of softening in the lard. You don't want it to brown off because that'll change it to a nutty taste, and we won't get the sharpness of the garlic. So now we're going to add some onion. Now this is an important part. I'm going to cut the heat off. The pot's hot, but I'm going to be adding cold stock. If I add cold stock into a really super hot pot, it's going to foam up and create steam, and that's dangerous and unnecessary. So I'm going to cut the heat off, right, and give it a chance to come down a little bit. While it's coming down, I'm still cooking on just the hot pot. I can hear it's dropping down an octave or so. So now I'm going to add some stock. You can use any kind of stock. Pork stock is good. This is chicken stock. Now I'm going to turn the heat back up and let it come to a simmer. I'm going to throw this ham hock in there. Give it some flavor. Need some more liquid in there, and I'm going to put some good Virginia apple cider in. This will provide the acid. It's sweet, but it'll also provide acid. Just a little bit. There's no such thing as too much apple cider. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper. Food needs to talk back to you on occasion. Wonderful. As soon as this comes to a simmer, I'm going to add the collards. Right? But what I'm going to do first is strip off the stems, and in the pot it goes. Now you can, and a lot of people will put the entire collard leaf and stem into the pot and cook it for so long that it doesn't matter whether one of them is thicker than the other. Okay, now we're going to wait for this to come to a boil, and then we're going to cook this for about 15 minutes, right, until the stems begin to soften a little bit. Okay, this has been going now for a little while. I've been adding stock as we go to make sure that there's still a level here. I'm going to take the greens now and just kind of whack them up into a relatively large chunks, and in they're going to the pot. Right. Push them down. Make sure they're all covered good, and then I'm going to add some more stock to bring them up to the right level so that all of them cook at the same rate of speed. Okay, we're back, and these have been cooking for a while. So I'm going to take this bowl, and I'm going to take these collards, all right, and put them down in here. It's got onions and garlic, lard, all those things that are good for you. All right. I'm going to take this ham hock, now that it's cooked for a while. All right, set that off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and add some of this liquor, pot liquor, into the collards. It is delightful, it's tasty, and it's, as my grandmother would say, it's good and it's good for you. Collards with ham hock. So join us next week on Heart of the Home, where we get to play with great Virginia food.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com. Collard greens, or collards, are part of the Brassica oleracea family, which also includes kale and spring greens. As such, they are very cold hardy and make a great late fall or early spring crop. Many chefs prefer to cook collards after they've been through a frost or two, saying they taste sweeter. They're also considered a health food with the ability to lower cholesterol levels. They are very low-calorie vegetables with extremely high levels of vitamins K, A, and C, along with manganese, fiber, and calcium. Collards are one of several green vegetables that are now popular in health food smoothies.
Powhatan County in central Virginia is just west of the greater Richmond region. As Dave Miller tells us in this week's County Agricultural Close-Up, farmers here continue to thrive and adapt to changing times.
Founded in 1777, Powhatan County is named for historic Chief Powhatan, the paramount chief of the Powhatan Confederacy, the largest group of Native American tribes in colonial Virginia. Agriculture was the top industry when it was first settled around 1700, and it remains the top sector today, even as suburban development creeps closer.
A lot of people like to say that Powhatan is a bedroom community for Richmond, which then provides a large area, a large number of consumers that would then eat your products. Some of our producers have really taken advantage of that, but then we also have a large number of producers that have stayed true to their roots and continued their family operations in more of a traditional commercial agriculture sense.
A community of 28,000 plus people with 350,000 in Chesterfield County sitting on our eastern border. You don't maintain that type of population and equity forever. And so it's really a question at Powhatan of how to maintain part of what we view as our rural heritage, at the same time accommodate places for people who want to come see us.
With 34,585 acres under cultivation on 263 farms, Powhatan is still an important farm community in Virginia. Producers here sell almost $11.4 million worth of crops and livestock each year, with livestock accounting for $8.7 million of that total. 103 farms raise beef cattle. There are 54 poultry operations, 13 sheep farms, and 10 hog farms. Corn, soybeans, and wheat are also raised here, and 123 farms raise forage for cattle and horses. The equine industry employs 131 people and contributes more than $6.2 million in sales each year. There are also 6 commercial vegetable farms and numerous smaller operations in Powhatan County.
Horses is huge in the county, not only from a training, instructing, show competition, recreational, pleasure riding, very important. And we have multiple 4-H clubs that revolve around our horse and ponies.
Other examples are asparagus, which is just starting to come in, and there's virtually no asparagus raised in America anymore. 95% of it is offshore. And so we raise fresh asparagus. We will move then into our shiitake mushrooms. We'll have some spring potatoes that'll come in June. Our berries, black and blueberries, will come in. Our early high tunnel tomatoes will start the end of June. Then we'll move into kind of standard summer crops. And then specialty watermelons, specialty sweet potatoes, and then we'll end up with turmeric and ginger, 3 different varieties of ginger. The ginger goes into the alcohol folks. Okay, we have beer producers, we have mead producers, and we have people who produce cider.
A number of Powhatan County farm families can trace their history back more than a century. County Farm Bureau President Max Timberlake is one of them. Working with local political leaders, the Farm Bureau is striving to strike a balance between the coming growth and their farming heritage. The good news is the next generation of Powhatan residents is very interested in agriculture.
Our 4-H and FFA students have all grabbed on to this idea. And Powhatan has had to add ag teachers because students are so interested in getting into agricultural fields. So we're now up to 4 ag teachers at the high school.
Like all Virginia farmers, Powhatan County producers take good care of their land. Wilson DeNoon has seen his cattle operation thrive the past few years after he implemented scientific methods for improving his cattle genetics and protecting his water supplies.
Yeah, I rotate graze now. And when the cows hear me coming, they'll run to the gate and I can flip them from pasture to pasture. And it depends on the weather of how often I rotate them. Yeah, but that's a big part. And it's better the creek. The creeks are clean. The creeks look natural again. It didn't take but like 3 to 4 years, they're back to the natural look. I'm a century farm, and this land's been farmed by my family for way over 100 years. And my dad's 88 years old, and I can go out to pasture with my dad and look at the cows, and that's the same thing my great-grandfather and my grandfather did 100 years ago on the same piece of land, the same place.
Bounded by the James River to the north and the Appomattox River to the south, farming has always been in Powhatan County's DNA. Producers here are adapting to change in order to keep that tradition alive and well for many years to come. In Powhatan County, Virginia, I'm Dave Miller.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty that Virginia has to offer. From your kitchen to your lawn and garden to our wide open spaces, we're proud to say that this is real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching and make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart, oh.